What's up, guys? This is Pete from Ronin Dojo. This is my friend Tim. He's the instructor at the UMBC Aikido Club here. We're both Aikido black belts and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, as well as seasoned veterans of several other martial arts styles. Also, we're both Baltimore City Park Rangers. I served 5 years on the unit as an assistant supervisor. Tim served 1 year with me along the way. And what you're about to see is the Baltimore City Rangers Defensive Tactics Curriculum. For those of you Rangers taking this course, this is a study aid. For anyone else watching, this is just an introduction of what we're about at Ronin Dojo. So if you fall down, you should know how to land safely, prevent injuries. If you get knocked down, it becomes even more paramount. So if Tim knocks me down, I don't want to stretch my hand out, break a wrist or shoulder, and be downed against an aggressor. Instead, what we're going to do is this. It's called a break fall. And from here, we can manage the distance because we're already on the ground. Posting between your foot and your rear hand, you can scoot back until you have sufficient distance to create a technical get-up. If your opponent is close, so get knocked down, you want to cover, pull your leg through so your knees behind your elbow and stand immediately. If you need more distance, so you could use two hands to propel yourself back and stand up. So the first thing we're going to address is grabs. It is not very likely that you'll be grabbed this way. However, this allows to introduce important principles on how to deal with grabs. It is more likely you'll be grabbed this way to get punched, or perhaps one person grabs you to distract you while another attacks you. The situations can vary. We'll address all that during the actual course. However, from a technique perspective, a same side grab looks like this. We have the option of either fighting 4 or fighting 1 opponents. I would go with the 1. So what I mean by that is roll out against the thumb. Keep your wrist at your center and rotate your body and your hand in the same direction. If the guy's grip is really strong, use 2 hands, but turn the same way. You've turned now, don't stay here because you're vulnerable, but instead turn back and perhaps give him a little love tap, as we call it. Not a violent strike, just something to deter him from putting hands on you any further. The same principle works on a cross hand grab. You don't want to turn into the grip of 4. You see, I'm actually turning. Tim's stronger than I am this way. Leverage is on my side when I turn against his thumb. He's squeezing pretty hard and cannot maintain the grip if I turn out against his thumb. If he is extremely strong, I can again support my turn and still have the wind up to retaliate with the open hand slap is enough. We don't want to brutalize our opponent, even though they shouldn't have been grabbing you. Same thing works on double-handed grab. We want to go against the thumbs. Now, however, we've got to drop our level, step in toward him. Notice how my foot's at the outside. And then like you're brushing your hair, come up the midline, and again, you're chambered here to let him know, don't put your hands on a peace officer. Let's keep the peace. These grips also lend themselves to wrist locks. So if you go on the outside, you want to trap his hand. So otherwise, he'll just let go. If you want to wrist lock and trap their hand, spiral the outside, create the zigzag by leaning in slightly, and cut toward his center. You see Tim giving the tap. That's the way we communicate in martial arts to please let go so you don't do any damage. It works on a cross hand grip all the same. Trap the hand, come around, and cut this way. A person who's not trained like Tim and not familiar with this pain is going to react. So be careful not to do damage. Use this for compliance. Excuse me, sir, you're going to have to leave the premises. You can't be touching it. That kind of thing. On a double-handed grab, you can get to choose which side you want to use. You can step to the outside so you're off the line of potential kicks and create the same lock here, or step off the line on the other way, the other side, and create the same lock this way. Let's show the detail in these grips. So if I lock up this hand, I trap it, step off to the side, go over top, and dial toward his belly button here. Trapping these 2 knuckles, creating a stretch in the forearm tendons that's pretty painful. Or the outside on this angle, here, here, and down here. If you arrive at the scene and you're faced with a belligerent person and you need to forcibly remove them, you should use what we call a come-along hold. It looks like this, and it is very convincing. Ooh, okay, put a little crack. So if I crank this, it starts to hurt. You notice Tim's raising up on his toes so I can walk him wherever I go. If he tries to punch me with the open hand, I can convince him not to by cranking on the lock. What I'm doing here is grabbing his wrist and cupping his elbow, just like an arm drag, a wrestling arm drag that you guys are going to learn in our course. And then I shoot my hand through this gap to trap the arm. Let's demonstrate the other side. So through here, tuck his elbow into my pocket, and then use these two knuckles. Use both of your hands, pressure against these two knuckles to roll in toward here, trapping his arm, forcing him to come along. This is tried and proven, has been used by bouncers and security personnel for decades on the most efficient ways to escort a person off a given premises. So again, if you arrive at the scene and the person is being suspicious, don't be looking at your iPhone. Obviously, you shouldn't have that out at work. If you're writing a ticket, pay attention to the person. That is usually pretty upsetting to most folks. That is a good time to encounter an attack. But a defensive stance basically constitutes of a bladed stance, meaning my toes are pointing forward and my rear foot is off at an angle. My feet are further apart than my shoulders so I can move, and my hands are up like this. Therefore, if he throws a hook punch, it's going to be blocked. This invites one down the middle, which is visible, and I can deflect easily by just turning my body. Another thing, this is a passive stance. Palms are up. You're not squaring off in a combative manner. You can de-escalate the situation verbally and try to appease the person. Right here, the prayer position, also very good. This does invite a round punch, but it's good because we can react to it. As they encroach your space, I want to maintain this distance, at least, or more, against a potentially aggressive person. So if he's moving toward me, excuse me, sir, I need you to back up, I need more distance. If he is really aggressive, you can continue to try to talk him down by keeping your distance. Do not let him corner you. As you see, I was moving around. If he's moving forward, I'm keeping my space until he either becomes more aggressive and I have to react, or he's appeased by my stern, assertive, empathetic speech, trying to control the situation. Keeping the distance also works on the ground, as demonstrated earlier, by scooting back until you can get up and confront the individual. Clinching is striking an opponent. If he just attacks you, you have no choice. Just cover up, hit the center, and hug him. Now we're in a clinch position, and we'll learn takedowns from here. We call this putting on your helmet. You're literally grabbing your hair like you're panicking, you're going to tear your hair out, but keeping your elbows in. Like, oh my God, but cover. So put your helmet on, change your level a little bit in case he's throwing a flurry. Go ahead. And hit his chest. Then like a bear trap, the hands spring open and hug him really tight. Notice how this is affecting his posture. So that is if you got overwhelmed. Typically, if you have this prayer stance, you can block here and achieve, let's turn an overhook here, underhook here, which is a great control position. I have my stance bladed to deter knees to the groin, while I can deliver my own if necessary, and go into our takedowns, which we're about to look at next. So, once more, keep your distance, keep your stance. If they do throw a big haymaker, move your head to the outside where it's safe, create a stance, and notice how I'm tilting his body with my underhook. I'm heavy, clamp down on his elbow here on the overhooking side. This is a 50-50 clinch. One overhook, one underhook. It allows you to deliver knees to the groin, to convince him to be less combative, and go into our next technique, which is the outside reap takedown. Looks like this. You step past him. Notice my hip is going past him. And I pendulum swing my leg as I drive this top arm down to get him to the ground. My knee's blocking his hip. And I connect my hands here for a shoulder lock. It's a great place to restrain him, talk to him, get him to settle down. Keep this lock for compliance purposes. Do not break this person's arm unless you're in vital danger. What we want is them to comply, not to brutalize them. So if we've taken him down, let's go from there. So you threw a haymaker, we blocked, got under here, reaping takedown. Knees on the ground. A knee on belly is exactly that. Put your knee on the belly. Your foot is as close to his hip as possible. You go right across the line of his belt. Sorry, 10. put some weight on you here. Hook on his leg, hook on his head. Pull up as you press down. That sucks, right? The leg that's free is your outrigger. Very important for mobility. It's in line with his head. So try to squirm and get out of here. See, I kind of surf on him and follow him wherever he goes. If necessary, you can use force beyond control. I would advise against it whenever possible, but perhaps he's attacking your groin or trying to pull a knife, something of the sort might become necessary. What is more favorable is to use this hook here. See, I'm pulling him up, trapping him against my shoulder, and framing against his head so that I can roll him over into our final control position, which looks like this. My knee is in the middle of his shoulder blades. His arm is in a shoulder lock position, so I can pull here to convince him to stop fighting if he still is. And my other leg is an outrigger. Try to move around a bit. He doesn't really want to because he's pinned. But if he does, my leg can go with him, so I stay on top. I can call for backup, pull my radio, handcuff him here. This is really the ideal position. This is our finishing position that we're going to use throughout this course. One more time from, let's do this side from the other angle. So say he punched, I got my 50-50 clinch here and decided I need to take this guy down. The knee on the belly, look, transition right into here, hook, flatten out so it's not so bad for you. And you control him here. People are always worried about this hand with the groin, but once you pull him like this, it becomes less of a threat. Notice the hook here and the frame here. Very important. I need this frame so he doesn't attack me any further. Then I can start talking to him. Sir, I need you to comply. Turn over. Turn over from me. Thank you. It's not as bad as you think. Everything's going to be fine. That kind of stuff. Even when you are in a volatile situation, try to keep cool and demonstrate empathy toward your aggressor. One of the worst places you can find yourself is this position right here. Typical schoolyard bully beating you up. We call this the mounted position. This is very dangerous. Someone's on top of you, don't know what to do. You're in deep dookie here. So the way to get out of this, first of all, is cover up. Again, put your helmet on so you can negate punches with your elbows. But you don't want to sit here all day because eventually he's going to find the gaps. So use your knee to bump him forward until he hits your chest. And just like when you clinched, open the hands like a bear trap, put your ear against his chest so you can hear his heartbeat. Try to move from here, Tim. So I'm attached. He doesn't have the space to hit me. I'm going to climb up his body like I'm climbing a tree until I can wrap one hand. This is our overhook. Same position as our standing clinch. Underhook here, overhook here. Trap this foot, get the other one in the middle, bridge your hips up and roll him over. And again, if you did this correctly, you did a good job on your underhook, this creates an elbow lock. See how I place my hand on his shoulder? So now I have compliance control here. If he tries to punch me with the other arm, I go stop that. You can also drive this toward him, which is really painful and pins him here. Like, let me go. You know, so from there, he's typically going to comply. You're going to do your tactical get up. If he doesn't comply, you just hold him there until your partner arrives and deals with this. Helps you deal with the situation accordingly. So if you were able, if he swung at you, you were paying attention and got this takedown, and he pulled you on top of him, you ended up in the mount here. As a trained law enforcement professional, I do not want to see footage of any of you guys wilding out and just brutalizing this individual, even if you may be inclined to do so. I encourage you to use the techniques you're learning here. Grab his wrist, get behind his elbow, pull the arm across his body. Drop your chest behind his elbow. Can you turn from here? No. See my other hand here? That's my outrigger. Try to turn without it. Oh no. I have my hand posted. Try to turn now. He's trapped. I'll reach around and grab his wrist. Hand off here. Use this hand as an outrigger now so that you can turn your body in advance. Sliding your knee north, hooking your heel by his hip, then pull here and hip in. We call this the gift wrap position for obvious reasons. You have a free hand to wave your finger at him and educate him about the error of his ways, but also to pull your radio, call for backup, pull your handcuffs, clip them in. You can keep someone here indefinitely, unless they have, you know, far superior training. But if they do, they should know better than to attack park rangers who are just trying to do their job. Okay, so if you got knocked down, the person got on top of you, but you were able to use your legs, you're still in a bad spot, but not as bad as if you're mounted, because now you do have your legs to work with. If he's postured up like this and he starts punching me, that presents a danger. So what I want to do is bring him in, hug his head, hug his arm, scoop yourself a little bit on the angle if you can, and try to punch me here too, and stay attached. It's kind of like a baby monkey holding on to their mom. I'm not trying to crush him, I'm just hanging on for the ride. It's a bad situation, but at least I'm not getting killed. By taking the space away from him, I encourage him to posture. But once he does this, people want distance so they can punch him. Once he does this, I'm going to post, swim under his chin, open my guard, scoot out, and do the same technical get-up to get out from under him. If he's a really dangerous person, you can follow up, or you can just move back, evacuate the scene, pull out your mace, handle it accordingly. So this is a common attack. If Tim was, you know, writing me a ticket, somebody might try to headlock you and start doing your makeup here, as we said. So one thing, if I wasn't paying attention and he got me here, I want to create a frame to break free and have this elbow lock where I can bring him down, administer a knee if necessary, drag him down, and we are back to our final restraint. If I was more alert and proactive and he started headlocking me, I immediately look up to the heavens asking for divine intervention as I trap his other arm so he can't be punching me in the face. I have control of his wrist here. My foot is right in between his feet. My shoulder is right in between his shoulder blades here. And I posture up, opening this door so I can pull my head up. I push toward his sacrum with his trapped arm and keep his arm hooked. This is of paramount importance. If I don't have this arm hooked, there's nothing stopping him from turning around and decking me. Try to free yourself here. I can follow him. I can still talk to him. Sir, calm down. The ticket is not worth going to jail for. If he is on drugs or freaking out and trying to hurt you from here, you can use your knee to lower his stance or just the hand pushing the sacrum. Hook around and we're in a standing carotid restraint hold here. If he continues to be belligerent, you take that center leg, step back, and sit him down. While this is all happening, you can talk to de-escalate. If the talking is not working, you use the same hand that's hooked up here to turn him over onto his belly, post on him and move around until you can replace your knee, and we're back to the same position. You can hand off to utilize your tools as necessary, call for backup, try to talk this guy down, hook his other hand so you can handcuff him if necessary, and handle the situation. A very common aggressive behavior that you may encounter is the throat grab. Intimidating. This is not really the greatest threat. I call this lifetime television choke because you always see it in those type of movies. It can become a threat if this person is stronger. The greater threat is that empty hand that's going to follow repeatedly if you don't address this. So what we're going to do is make a triangle with our thumbs and index fingers starting on this elbow. Slide down until we catch the wrist. Step off the line. Throw this outside elbow, not to strike him, but to roll this arm. See how I'm scooping it under my belly button, elevating his wrist near my shoulder level. You can do this one-handed with a lot of practice, but I encourage you to keep both hands on there because we're also going to incorporate a wrist lock in a second. Now, for your partner's safety, you post this hand so you can slide out here without dropping on it. And then you have what we call in judo a wakigatame. It's a pinning control hold armbar. Very convincing, wouldn't you say? There. Try to move around a little bit. Follow him again. Stop fighting. Chill out. If you chill, I'll let you go. You also have this wrist lock we'll look at in a second. And you also can free this hand to pull out handcuffs, radio, mace, whatever else you might need. Let's do this one from another angle. Maybe right hand grabs. If he grabs, you turn. In real life, you can just shoot this leg out and drop, but you may break this person's arm if you're not careful. Tim and I have been practicing together a long time. I can kind of follow his balance, drop on my butt, loosen up my grip so I don't hurt his arm. For you guys, I encourage you to use the hand and replace the foot, but this is the final product right here. Pinning control armbar. So we live in Baltimore, the city where you're most likely to be robbed at gunpoint statistically. Heard it yesterday on NPR. So if someone pulls a gun on you, do not have the illusion that taking this course is going to render you some kind of superhero from the Matrix, able to disarm him. It is best to comply and get away with your life. However, if you do get the feeling that this person might shoot you, you might as well take a chance and try to defend yourself. We're going to use the same exact technique we just did. Let me move you around here so you get a better shot. So the gun is out. You need to first not get shot. So before you do this, bang, make sure you turn and deflect. So if he is firing around and misses you. Also be aware who's standing behind you, because now they're eating that round. Hopefully a tree and not your partner or innocent bystander. So we turn. This is defensive position. Hey, hey. You can park on the grass, it's all cool. You know, I'm already starting to turn his arm. I do the same kind of tuck and slide my leg out into the same position. From here, this wrist lock becomes that much more important. It's the same wrist lock we looked at earlier with the grips. We are affecting the index and middle knuckle toward him. Do not point the gun at your face. Toward him until you can free it. Now, if you were to shoot him from here, that constitutes homicide or manslaughter, depending on the skills of your attorney. You are in control. You're being trained how to deal with this situation. If you successfully disarm someone from here, tuck this weapon away, hold him here, call for backup, use it for evidence, or if it's a multiple attack situation, to discourage other people from attacking you. This is how we control the pistol. Ideally, you will never have to deal with this. We'll practice it anyways because we do live in Baltimore. Another likely occurrence is an underhand knife attack. It is less likely to see the psycho killer Norman Bates sort of stab here. We will deal with that too in a later segment. But more commonly than not, people will conceal this behind their legs, so you should always be aware. We'll get into the details of this in the course. You want to keep your eyes at their sternum as you're speaking, that way you can detect movement. That kind of thing is already suspicious. You can use your distance management. Hey, let me see your hands. If you were surprised and the guy stabbed you, here's how you want to react. Shrug your vital organs back, move off the line. Hook on the wrist and elbow and create this little spiral. Again, the wrist catches in your elbow. Elbow are vital control points. We'll talk about that. Vital not because they're important for your life, but because they're very important to control this person, which may be important to preserve your life. Anyways, we hook on here. We can administer knees if needed, but more importantly, we're going to take this foot and step behind us so we can spiral him down into the ground, right into the same final restraint as before. Now I can convince him, drop your knife, crank on his arm. If he still doesn't want to, you take your 4 fingers against his and roll it out of his grip. Again, do not become belligerent and start using the weapon against this person. Tuck it away, toss it away. You might need it for fingerprints and evidence later. So, that is how we defend a knife attack. The knife is jammed. Let's do this again. Maybe from here. So, low stab. Shrug your hips away, hook on the elbow, hook on the wrist. Pull the elbow in to create the spiral. Convince him with the knee to not continue trying to stab you. Spiral him into the ground. You get him into this final restraint position here. If they do end up spinning, some people do that. Maybe go over here. So he tried to stab you, you blocked him, you got into this good elbow control here, and you're spinning. If he spins under like such, you can step over his head and armbar him. You'll learn that in level 2. Do not break the arm, use this for compliance. Free the knife out of his grip. Do not stab this person even though they just try to stab you. Hold him here. You go hands-free, pull your radio, call for backup, and follow procedure.